Happy Monday, everyone. This is Martha with Nature Niche, and this week I'm excited to share a project of my friend Julie Welsh's, done by her arboriculture contractor, Curt Holsinger from Timber Tree Care. They built brush piles to enhance or supplement wildlife cover. Brush piles are constructed from excess forest slash or cut material from blowdowns, storm damage. You never want to cut trees down purposely. Let's hear what Julie and Curt have to say about this project.
Hi, I'm Julie Welsh, and I live on a 2-acre woodlot adjacent to a larger woodlot north of Midland. And I have, for a while now, wanted to put in a brush pile for native animals. It just so happened this past summer we had a thunderstorm that came through and knocked down one of my trees, which also took down a bunch of other trees and created a lot of brush for me to use. So we're starting to construct one now, and the hope is that birds and other wild animals like rabbits will have this as a place for them to stay.
Hey, I'm Curt Holsinger with Timber Tree Care. If you want to branch out a little bit from some of your normal tree care companies, give us a call. This is some of the stuff that we love doing. I've done some of these at my own property. I've done some for other clients as well as Julie here, and different styles, right? So this is kind of more of a log cabin type frame that we've started here, and then on the other end we've just sort of thrown some logs as maybe a starter of what could be an A-frame. And when it comes down to it, the rabbits don't care. They don't care what design it is, what architecture style. If they have a place they can get away from predators, they're happy. So yeah, think outside the box a little bit of what you can do with the piece of earth that you're responsible for, and how can you contribute to the bigger environmental solutions that you can be a part of helping. So yeah, give us a call, and good luck out there.
So this is some footage of the storm damaged trees from Julie's property. And when you're building brush piles, you want to aim for, something, you want it to have some mass. So maybe 15 feet around, 5 to 6 feet high. You can make it more rectangular, 10 to 15 feet long by 8 to 10 feet wide. And the purpose for doing these projects is to provide dense cover for wildlife, things like cottontail rabbits, bobwhite quail, turkeys, thrashers, even skunks, raccoons, and other kinds of songbirds and small mammals, as well as reptiles. Brush piles provide a variety of benefits to wildlife and help meet the diversity of their wildlife cover needs. So nesting habitat in dense cover and escape from both avian predators and mammalian predators such as raccoons and coyotes. So that's one thing to keep in mind. Brush piles will help provide cover, but they will also attract the predators of the species taking cover. So you might see mink or weasel, snakes, some of the woodland hawks, goshawks, coopers, and sharpshins like to set up ambushes near habitat, and may try to get creatures as they move in and out of the brush piles. These piles also provide perching habitat at the top, and they provide thermal cover by creating shade and protection from wind and precipitation, especially if you build them tightly or use evergreen branches on the outside. Certain species of butterflies that overwinter as adults, turtles, snakes, and other insects will use these shelters to overwinter. They're also a great place near gardens to put your wood pile and a wren house. Wrens are great at biological control around your gardens, and they love brush piles, and they'll happily hunt and glean the tiny invertebrates, both from your garden plants and those using the wood pile. And it's especially helpful to them as they're raising young. And don't forget to make use of snags. You don't necessarily have to bring all of the material down to the ground. Those standing dead trees can be great habitat for bats and cavity nesting birds. So Curt did that on this site. He cut a in-snag nesting cavity. And for more on that, details on that, go back and check out Monday with Martha number 40. Brush piles are usually most effective when you locate them along habitat edges, so roads through woodlands, agricultural field borders, along riparian areas. They're great for abandoned fields, the edges of working crop fields, and in harvested or thin forest or early successional habitat where you don't have a lot of shrub recovery yet, it's great to place them there. Some important avoidance things when you're planning it out. Don't put them in the bottom of drainage ways or low spots where there could be standing water and flooding that reduces the usefulness of the pile. You don't want to put them in grasslands where vertical structure might be detrimental to native grassland birds. You want to keep brush piles away from, houses and lawns, especially if you don't want skunks and raccoons around. They can be flammable, so you want to keep them a decent distance away from buildings. And you definitely don't want to use materials that contain toxic substances like pressure treated lumber, railroad ties, tires, those sorts of things. You definitely want to use natural materials and start by building a good base or foundation for your brush pile. It'll last a lot longer. So start with 6 to 10 inch logs, 6 to 8 feet long if you can, and then build up with other materials, adding on medium-sized branches and then finer materials, and keep it pretty tight in the middle and looser at the edges so it's easier for the creatures to get in and out. Another feature you might consider adding is a predator excluder, or as Julie affectionately called it, her songbird panic room. You can take some wire fencing that's in good condition so you won't scratch the animals, but basically make a 2 to 3 foot circle with that wire, such that there are gaps that are big enough for the songbirds to be able to get in there, either fly up and over and into or through the gaps in the wire and be able to escape. It's especially good for deterring nocturnal predators like domestic or feral cats. You want to make sure you bury the bottom of the cage a few inches just to deter animals from digging in. And then you want to build your brush pile around it. So we chose a corner and stuck it in there. And then you want to add your medium size and then fine materials. And just remember, keep those logs spaced so that there's enough room for different size species to get in and out. And then you can use that predator excluder for the songbirds who can fly in and out. It helps to keep the logs that form the foundation at least 4 to 6 inches apart, maybe a little bit further depending on the size of the material you're using. Log cabin structure like we did on this one, where the logs are at right angles to one another and kind of run perpendicular, is a good strategy. And then you can see we added a lot more fine material to add structure and overall height to the brush pile. So this is sort of a walk around view of the finished, what we call the log cabin style brush pile. And then here's a view of a second style brush pile that they constructed. They started with 3 primary logs with cross logs for support, that perpendicular direction, and then we piled up medium-sized timbers to make the A-frame roof, and then on top of that added fine structure material to help keep wind and snow down. But this area was going to be the bunny porch, so a place that rabbits could bask and kind of hang out in the sun, but scooch right into cover very easily. And there's no reason that the brush piles have to look completely messy. Julie had some fun reusing some old grapevine wreaths to decorate that bunny porch area. And yeah, feel free to, as long as they're wildlife safe materials, add other architecture to your brush piles, especially if they're within view of your yard or garden. Having these wildlife brush piles within a quarter to half mile of water certainly will increase their use. And placing them 10 to 20 feet from songbird feeding stations will also provide helpful cover, and you can watch the birds dart between your feeding station and your brush pile. So I wanted to say thank you, Julie, for inviting me to participate in your wildlife brush pile construction project. And Julie, Curt, and I hope this inspires you to do something similar on your own properties. Take care and have a good week.